Welcome, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Session Spotlight. This is an opportunity for you to hear the leaders talk about their sessions and help you decide what you want to take this summer at Convergence 2024. Today, we will have Sandy Cahill, Leslie Fesperman, Betty Kirk, Dena Moses, Robyn Spady, and Saaraliisa Ylitalo. Just a reminder, Convergence 2024 will occur this summer from July 11th through the 17th in Wichita, Kansas. Make sure to look at your registration book and to see what the sessions and events that are going to be coming up, as well as what else Convergence offers, including the marketplace, where lots of shopping can go on, exhibits, fashion show, keynote, and tours, and much more. This year, we're going to be offering 150 seminars and workshops, including 90-minute seminars, 3-hour seminars, and even 1 to 2 and 3-day workshops. And we're going to be talking about the sessions we'll be offering during these session spotlights. First, we will hear today from Sandy Cahill about her one-day workshop on Friday. It's titled Edge Finishing and Seaming for Hand-Woven Garments. Welcome, Sandy.
Hi there. Hello, Mandy. I am having trouble turning on my camera. There it goes. Start my video. That's what I wanted to see. Wonderful. So I am Sandy Cahill from Parkville, Missouri, and I'm happy to bring this one-day class to you coming up in next summer at Convergence. And the code number for this class is 1W-F033. It's called Edge Finishing and Seaming for Hand-Woven Garments. This is going to be an all-day class. So in the morning session, we're going to be working on edge finishing, and then in the afternoon session, we'll be working on seaming. So in your convention brochure, the shuttle spindle and die pot, this is the class that we're talking about here, the edge finishing and seaming for hand-woven garments. So during the class, we'll be going through this notebook, which you are going to get to take home. So this notebook is going to contain all the detailed information of the things that you'll be learning in class. So as we go through the notebook, as the class proceeds, you'll get an overview page. And then you'll also get then starting in right here, right to it, the detailed directions on the 4 different edge finishes that we will accomplish in class. During the class, in your notebook, you will find a hand-woven sample piece of fabric that I'm giving to you to practice these edge finishes on, so that you'll get 2 different edge finishing hand-woven pieces of fabric that you are going to use to practice the 4 different techniques that I'm going to teach you. And the 4 different techniques, then you will example on these hand-woven samples of fabric, and you will try out in different steps the different edge finishing techniques. And then when you are finished with that sample, you're going to put it back into your notebook. And that way you have that finished sample with you to refer to at any time. So later in your life, when you not want to reproduce those samples, those edge finishes that you learned in class, then you will have them right here inside your notebook. And then this notebook is going to go onto your shelf in your studio so that you can reference it at any time. So in the morning, we will be learning 4 different edge finishing techniques. And all of these edge finishing techniques are like not to be used as an afterthought. We want to think about the edge finishing that you would want to use when you are starting your sewing process. So I'm going to be giving you all different range of different types of edge finishes that would be appropriate for different types of fabric. Then in the afternoon, you're going to go, then we'll come here to this part of the notebook, and inside you're going to get this hand-woven piece of fabric that I'm going to let you work on this And you'll notice that this is separated into segments, like I've woven in some red stripes in 6 different places, so that when you are finished, you will have the 6 different steps in a finished sample. This seam technique is a variation of a flat felled seam, and it's reversible. It's exactly the same on the front as on the back. So it can be very useful for reversible fabrics, or where you don't want to have any indication of a seam on the fabric. And again, you're going to be doing the 6 different steps, graduating to the 6 different areas that I've provided for you in the sample. So like here's the first step, goes up to the first line, then the second step up to the second line, the third step to the third line, the fourth step, the fifth step, and then the final step up to the top. And again, when you are finished in class, you're going to fold this all up and put it into your notebook so that you have it as a reference going forward. So with that, are there any questions that anybody has?
Yes, we do have one question, Sandy. Thank you for the information about it. It does sound exciting.
Yeah.
Let's see. So how is this workshop different from your 3-hour session, Elegant Edge Finishing for Handwoven Garments?
Great. That's a perfect question. This workshop combines both of the other 2 workshops that I am teaching into one day. So I am teaching an edge finishing class where you can learn just the edge finishing. And then I'm also teaching a seaming class where you can learn just the seaming. So this class is the combined of those 2 classes. Yes, the information is replicated. When I taught this before at the Midwest Weavers Conference, I found that I had several students that took both classes because they needed the material twice to really cement it. And that is certainly appropriate too. But yes, this is a duplication of the 2 individual classes that I'm teaching on the same topic.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
And then let's see, one more question. What kind of supplies will a participant need to bring to this session?
That's a great question too. We will be working on sewing machines. And what I would like is if you are able to bring a sewing machine, it's much better if you can work on your own machine. If you can't bring a sewing machine, for instance, if you're traveling and it's just not possible on the airplane to bring your sewing machine, then I have asked Convergence to provide some sewing machines. So yes, if you could bring your own sewing machine, that is preferable, but there will be machines available if you cannot travel with your machine and bring it. The only other thing that I'm asking people to bring is bright red thread, like Christmas red, because I want the contrast of the stitches to show against the handwoven fabric so you can replicate the steps that you did and you can see the stitching. We don't want it to disappear. And then of course, bringing the sewing notions, scissors, reading glasses if you need them, and all of that.
Great. Let's see. And then another question just came in. What kind of experience do you need to take this workshop, Sandy?
I would say you need to be able to operate a sewing machine comfortably, and I would call it an intermediate level. It's not for beginning sewing. It's for people that are really wanting to proceed ahead with cutting and sewing their handwoven fabric into garments. So I go through a lot of discussion and examples that I will show about the appropriateness of fabric for different garment, constructions, and how to use this seam and the edge finishes in your finished products of handwoven garments. So I would say intermediate would be a good place to put all of the experience.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. So intermediate experience, guys, for this class. Yeah. So again, it's one-day workshop. It's going to be offered Friday, July 12th, edge finishing and seaming for handwoven garments. And please reference your registration book for more information. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Our next leader that's going to be presenting today is Leslie Fesperman, and she will be offering a one-day workshop on Saturday, July 13th, titled Double Weave Basics. Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for everybody joining in. Double weave is one of my favorite things to do on the loom. I really enjoy it, and it's something I go back to over and over. And the class, as the description says, is all about the basics. So how to make the layers, how to put them together, how to do a seam. We do a seam very different than you're going to hear from Sandy because our seams will be on the loom. And it's just, there's not really a lot more that I can add for what you can expect for the class. It's everything that we don't expect that will happen as we go through the day together. So when I teach, I gear it towards what our class needs. What are your questions? How are you wanting to do things, and what your skill level is? Everybody is expected to have the experience and know how to weave, because you're going to have to come with a pre-worked loom. So there is some experience that's expected. It's not a beginning weaving class, but it is a beginning basic class. And my goal for anyone that signs up is that they get those basics and they can leave this day-long class with the skills needed to further explore techniques in double weave. I run a fiber program in North Carolina, and one of my observations in the classes that I teach, and also in the classes that the instructors teach, is what you get that's not in the description. And we never know what that's going to be. It's different experiences that come in, and everybody shares in a class. You share with each other, I share with you. And so there is more to it, but I really can't tell you how to expect that or what to expect that, but you can definitely count on and depend on the description being covered and gaining that. I'm wearing a double weave jacket. It's probably my 5th project that I ever did in double weave. You will walk away with the skills to weave a jacket on your own. You will learn how to do the double width, the double layers in a vertical tube, and a seam. That's all that's in this jacket. And those are skills that you'll learn. You'll learn how to, you can put that together. And so double weave is very creative. You have to figure things out. My goal for me for the class is to make something to wear to show you an example. So most of my double weave projects have been in wool. So I'm hoping to have a summer project, because I expect Kansas is going to be pretty hot in July and we'll be in a cool environment. So I may want to bring something a little warm to wear. But above all, if you don't take my workshop, please take a workshop. There's just so much more to every workshop. And I think you'll find that in any one that you take. So does anybody have any questions?
Great, thank you, Leslie. Yes, we do have a question. What kind of loom would you need for this workshop?
You can do a floor loom or a table loom, either one. Will be appropriate. Mm-hmm. And you'll need a 6 to 10 inch. At least you want your work to be 6 inches to 10 inches wide. You want to have a good feel for all of the aspects of double weave that we're going to do. So you'll weave samples that you'll take home. There's a lot of, there's weaving, there's discussion weaving, and we go back and forth between that. So you'll weave several samples.
Great. Let's see. Another question. The materials fee is only $5. I see. What does that include for a participant?
That will include your handout. So your handout will cover all those basics, and it will have all the information that I give you. So it'll tell you, here's how we're weaving the vertical tube. And so really it's just a handout covering the cost of getting that printed and out to you.
Okay, great. And then will you be sending warping instructions in advance to your students?
I sure will. It's pretty relatively straightforward. We're going to be doing the basics on 4 shafts, and that limits us to plain weave. So beginning or, beginning intermediate weavers should have the experience and know how to warp, a basic straight draw, whether they want to do it 4-3-2-1 or 1-2-3-4. So the warping aspect's fairly straightforward.
Great.
And so the weaving, actually the weaving will be too. Once you start connecting the dots, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's not that hard. So.
Let's see. And then besides a warp loom, what will participants need to bring in addition?
Well, you need to bring everything you need to weave with. So you need a shuttle, you'll need a needle, a tapestry needle or something if you want to hem stitch the beginning and end of the total piece. You'll need weft, which is the same as your warp, and that'll be all sent. I think in the beginning class and the basics, it's really nice to have your layers in 2 colors. So I will suggest that you warp the layers. One color will be on one and another on another. You don't have to. I think when we're learning, it's nice not to have to make a big investment in our materials or our equipment. So, you know, I'm going to encourage you to use certain size yarns and use what you have on hand. You know, don't go out and buy a bunch of stuff to get this basic class, because you're going to be practicing and learning. You're not doing a project. So it's all about the concept and all about the how of how to do it.
I see. Great. Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Again, Leslie Fesperman, she's going to be offering this one-day workshop on Saturday, July 13th, and double weave basics. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next leader who will be discussing their session is Betty Kirk, Designer Yarns 1. It's a one-day workshop on Thursday, July 11th. Welcome, Betty.
Thank you for having me. We're going to be working with different fibers to make different types of yarns. We're going to make 4 types of yarns. The one that was on the diagram was a boucle, and you'll be learning how to make a boucle. This is what yours will probably look like, but I will discuss how to do different types of colors and things you can change and what type of fibers to use. I will be providing all the fibers and a handout. The people need to bring a spinning wheel, which can be electric or a traditional. Unfortunately, spindles don't work well for this because you need both hands for manipulating. We'll learn how to do slub yarns, which sounds contradictory. It's like a beginner always does slub yarns, but once you're a good spinner, it's very hard to make a slub yarn. We'll also be doing a Navajo chain, and we'll also be doing, I'm sitting on it. Excuse me a minute.
Take your time. No problem.
You'll also be doing a cable yarn, and cable yarn is 4-ply, but it's not done as 4 threads at once. It's done 2 and then 2, and there are certain tricks to make that to work. So during the day, you'll have plenty of time to spin your yarn that you need to create your designer yarn and then make your designer yarns.
I'm so sorry. Could you hold that up a little bit more? We just couldn't see it quite in the camera, and then just hold it steady for a second. It's just because of the way the videos works.
Okay, we'll try this one.
And then just up a little higher. Up, if you can raise it. There. Oh wow. Okay, great. Great. Thank you so much. Perfect.
So are there any questions?
Let's see. So is this an intermediate session? Can you explain a bit more about what kind of experience you'd like a participant to have?
You have to know how to spin a yarn, and you should have the basics of how to ply. So if you've never spun before, this is not the class for you. Okay. But if you've done some spinning, you don't have to be, like a master spinner. You just have to be able to know how to create a yarn, and we'll work from there.
Okay, great. Is there any, is a supply list? Is there any kind of supply list for this session?
Your spinning wheel and whatever supplies you usually bring. And I don't know if I included it, but a spool of sewing thread. That's it. You know, your normal spinning stuff, your threading hook and your spinning wheel, and if you need spinning oil. But basically, as far as fibers go, and then I'll have handouts on all the directions so that when you go home, you can refer to the direction sheets.
Oh, great. Okay, great. Good to know. Well, thank you so much, Betty. We appreciate the information and looking forward to a good session to be offered. Designer Yarns 1, led by Betty Kirk, one-day workshop Thursday, July 11th. Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Dena Moses. Her session she'll be teaching is, workshop, Beyond the Ordinary, Creative Explorations in Rags. Again, a 3-day workshop, Monday through Wednesday, July 15th through the 17th. Welcome, Dena.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be teaching this workshop at Convergence, and it's one of my favorite workshops to teach. I am going to show you some pictures and slides and things. Let's see from beginning. There we go. Okay, so I started weaving 37 years ago, and at that point, the resources that are available now were not available. And, you know, I was just out of college and I didn't have the money for yarns to be playing around with, and I just started experimenting with old clothes. And because I didn't really understand structure, there in some ways was no limits, and I did a whole lot of playing, and I wanted to show you some of the pieces that I'm going to start with the pieces that I have woven, and then show you some of the work that I've had that students have woven with me. So this is, you know, tapestry techniques in rugs. This is made out of jeans and old corduroys, a little bit of fabric. And the techniques in this are actually are fairly simple, and they're things that I've developed myself over time. So yeah, that's another piece that I've done. And these are pretty big. You know, this one's about 2 feet wide. The other one's about 3 feet wide. And this is 10 feet wide. So at some point, I think, you know, when I was about 22, I had an art teacher who just kept saying to me, can't you weave something that's not a rectangle? And I was like, no, you can't weave something that's not a rectangle. And she just kept asking me, and, you know, all of a sudden I was under the loom and adjusting things and, you know, making curves and things like that. So as I said, this is about 10 feet wide. It's about 5 feet deep. And the actual techniques in this are not that hard. I really was doing this pretty much as a beginning weaver. And then my son came on the scene. He's 19 now. And anyone who has raised, you know, who feels like creativity is an important life thing and has raised a child, you know, when your child comes to you and says, well, can't you do this and can't you do that? You know, you don't say no, or you try and say no, but he just kept coming, you know, 4, 5, 6, he just kept coming to me and saying, can't you just like have spaces in the middle of your weaving? And can't you just like do this and do that? And I was like, no. But, you know, eventually I just gave in, and then it was just a question of how do I figure out the technical aspects of this? Here he is, he's 19, and he decided he was going to weave like ripped up curtains into trees and make hammocks. And there he is sitting on it. And yeah, we're still having a whole lot of fun together. So, you know, he started asking about this, and I started playing around with it. And, you know, what happens if you leave space in the middle? What happens if those tapestry joins get bigger and more interesting? And what happens when you weave all sorts of weird things in your weaving? There's another piece. And this is kind of where that went. You know, and it's, you know, part of it is about the technical, but it's also a lot about giving yourself permission to really try anything at all. Like, I have an idea and let's figure out the details about how to bring it into being. So these are just a few slides of things that students have made in this workshop. There's a triangle going on the loom. There's some fun embellishments that we were playing with. This is a weaver who was just like crawling around on the floor and picking up garbage, and I wasn't really paying attention. And then I looked and there were butterflies and birds on her loom. Oh, and this is the last one. So this lovely student had these old skirts, and I was talking about how to rip them up, and she just loved that seam, and I couldn't even imagine. I was like, no, you got to go through the seam, cut the seam off. And she was like, nope, I'm keeping that seam in. And it ended up here, and she just wove a fabulous piece with these like long flowing fringes. So that's that. How am I doing for time here? I've got a few minutes. So we're going to start with basic techniques. You want to bring to class old fabrics, sheets, towels, jeans, things like that. And I will provide all the information ahead of time for that. And then we're going to work with, okay, how do you do joins? How do you do basic weaving of a rug? What makes a good rug? And then how do you, some basic tapestry techniques. And then we're going to start rifting off the tapestry techniques and how do you shape things on the loom? How do you leave spaces? How do you make sure that a piece has integrity to it, that it's not going to fall apart on you? So the technical, and then, there's just the play, because I think that this workshop has a way of breaking people's creativity open, because there's no don'ts. So once that happens, like, where do we go together as a group? And I learn as much from my students as they learn from me. And then on the, towards the end of the second day into the third day, we're going to talk about designing, having an idea. How do you put it on the loom? What do you think about? And all that good stuff. So thank you. In terms of it does need a warped up loom, and that loom, a heavy loom is great, but we can't travel with the heavy looms. A rigid head loom is fine. A table loom is fine. Even a tapestry loom is fine. And it's 12-inch wide warp, and you can really use just about anything. I'll send the directions ahead of time, and then give you information about where you can deviate from those instructions. So thank you. Any questions?
Yes. Thank you, Dena. Yes, we do have a question. What kind of experience do you need to have to take this kind of workshop?
You need to be able to come with a warped up loom.
Okay.
And other than that, really nothing. Yeah, it's done with your hands. Yeah. Oh, someone's excited. Great.
That exclamation point, I see, excited.
I love that.
See, another question. Besides bringing a warp loom, any other supplies? I know you talked about some, but
yeah, so fabric, and I'll bring, it's really old clothes work well. I mean, there's a lot of quilters out there who have quilting fabric, but it doesn't need to be. It can just be like the rag bag. So the fabric, great pair of scissors is nice. Notebook. The rest of it is optional. There are some things that are nice to have, like rulers and stuff, pencils, but it's optional. We can take care of each other in that.
okay, great. Let's see. So there's no materials fee for this course.
I think there isn't. Is there an optional materials fee?
I'm just asking if there was a fee required for the materials, or did you just bring your
I think there is, and if there isn't, there's an optional, I've got
oh, I see, $12.
Yeah, so the $12 covers like a 20-page full color thing with directions on how to do everything.
Optional.
And a picture of my cat.
I saw this wonderful. Thank you. Dena,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, beyond the ordinary, creative. I think that's the key. Creative explorations in rags. 3-day workshop. It's gonna be Monday through Thursday, July 15th through 17th. Thank you, Dena. Our next leader we will hear from is Robyn Spady. Her workshop, A Parallel Threading, is the Weaver's Playground. It's going to be 3 days, Monday through Wednesday, from July 15th through the 17th. Welcome, Robyn.
Hello, thank you for having me. Thank you. I always love to talk about weaving. I love to talk about anything with other weavers, so this is a great opportunity. I am going to start sharing my screen. So you can, in a moment, you're going to start off with the black screen. This is my way of trying to convey, I guess, my thrill and my excitement about this workshop. So, preview of coming attractions. So this is all about Convergence, coming next year to Convergence. I'm doing a workshop, a 3-day.
Hey, Robyn.
Yes.
You're in presentation view, so we're only seeing we're seeing your current
Okay.
and next slide, so you might want to update that.
So I am doing a workshop called A Parallel Threading is the Weaver's Playground. This is going to show participants how to design and how to weave and get incredible results. I do say this workshop is rated G for general weavers. If you are what I would consider an adventure-seeking beginner, come. If you're an advanced weaver, come, because I feel like I've got something for everybody. There will be instructions provided ahead of time to pre-warp your loom, whether you are bringing a 4-shaft loom or an 8-shaft loom, table or floor, up to you. And we were going to sort of explore and exploit that in many different ways. If you come, if you sign up, you're going to get a ticket for this great workshop. Again, it's on 4 or 8 shafts. And if you can get there with a pre-warped loom, we're going to do this workshop in what I say 5 acts with a little improv thrown in. So act 1, we're going to cover fundamentals of twills quickly, including broken twills and the importance of the twill circle. So this is where this can fill in gaps and voids for people, no matter how advanced they are in weaving, but also if you're pretty much just starting out. I think it's important to have those fundamentals before we go into act 2, which is the parallel twills. And this is taking a threading and basically interleaving it with itself. And we're going to talk about how we change direction, how we pivot. But a lot of this is about color, because this is where we can start pushing colors in different ways and getting different effects. So act 3, we're getting into network drafting. I'm going to cover 2 different methods. You're actually going to do this in the workshop. Network drafting is a way of designing curves. And we're also going to explore network drafting and its relationship with overshot. We're going to also take the opportunity to cover how to reduce pattern lines. So if you are forever finding patterns that you go, I really like this, but I don't have that many shafts, what are some ways of reducing that into fewer shafts? Act 4 goes into corkscrew and manifold twills and what many people refer to as echo. Again, whether you're on 4 shafts or whether you're on 8, you're going to be doing some wonderful things. And then act 5 is turn takate, or what some people call jin, J-I-N, and then even more. What I'm really looking to do is impart knowledge, skill, so that you can go and design your own patterns later, because a parallel threading is all about versatility. I find that regardless of how long my warp is on my loom, I run out of warp before I run out of ideas. So this is a great workshop if you like versatility. If you also go, I don't like really warping my loom that well, great. get a long warp on there and come in and figure out different ways to do this. So this is some of what we're doing. These are 4 shaft patterns. The 2 on the top were done on the same warp that was threaded in black and white. The one on the bottom was threaded in kind of a blue, green, and purple. But these are 4 shaft patterns. We can go into 8. We're going to explore the same things, just going into more than 8. These 2 patterns are done on the same threading, the same colors. Most of the weaving you're going to be doing is single shuttle also. There's only a couple threadings that require more than 1 shuttle. But here we're going to sit here and look at a lot of these with single shuttle weaving, which a lot of people go, phew, I like that. It helps me go faster. But wait, there's more. So we're going to talk about taking designing to the next level. So if you have a loom at home that has more than 8 shafts, what you learn in this workshop, you'll be able to take there. We'll also cover, because we're working on parallel threadings in 2 colors, we can go into 3 and 4 color echo. Again, even if it's on 4 or 8 shafts. But I want you to feel at the end of this workshop that you've got this sort of design arsenal that you can go home and you can create wonderful designs that are unique. We're also going to explore and touch on how the parallel twills that we're weaving in this workshop relate to things like shadow weave, thick and thin, double diagonal twills. So this is a way of sort of stretching out and finding out that parallel twill threadings are not just one simple thing. So hopefully, if you're planning on coming next July to Convergence, you will sign up for my 3-day workshop. A parallel threading is the Weaver's Playground, and get your ticket to come and explore all the many things that you can do. So registration is open. It opens to the general public, I believe, next week. So sign up. The materials fee is $20. That includes a spiral bound workshop notebook that is over 100 pages plus the worksheets. I also will be bringing a printer so that if you develop your own unique treadling variation, we can print it out and you can weave it during the workshop and get ready to have some fun. So thank you.
Great, Robyn, thank you. You're correct. General registration opens on Monday. So be prepared to know what you're going to start registering for. Let's see. So what does someone need to bring to this workshop? Do you recommend?
You need a pre-warped loom. The instructions are set out as soon as I get information about who signed up for the workshop. I have 4 shaft threading and an 8 shaft threading. One of my objectives is that you are able to warp with yarns that you may already have. And so we're going to have a single threading that will alternate 2 colors. I recommend light to medium colors, one in maybe a primary, one in a secondary. So if you had red and apricot, if you have blue and lavender, things like that. I just find that when we have light, it's a little easier to see. Dark colors can really absorb light. You're going to need to bring wefts. I will also bring wefts. The instructions provide the sets for 5-2 and 10-2 cotton, 8-2 cotton, and 8-2 tencel. But if you have yarns that you use a lot and want to use up, or you have something in your stash, you just go, I don't know what I'm ever going to do with this, but I don't see the set for that. I've had people contact me and we work something out because I really hope people can avoid purchasing yarns and either use something that's very familiar to you or use something that you just kind of want to get out of your way. And we can work that out. But I also do bring yarns and because people will say, I want to see what this looks like with a purple, and you may not have that on board. But this is, you warp your loom ahead of time, you bring it pre-warped, you will weave only on your loom. This is not a round robin workshop. And then there's also sort of things like you might want to bring a pair of scissors, and that's about it.
Great. And leaders will receive their students lists in January, and then they'll be able to correspond. So thank you, Robyn, so much. A parallel threading is the Weavers Playground 3-day workshop that Robyn's going to be offering Monday through Wednesday, July 15th through 17th. Thank you. Our last leader to present their session spotlight today is going to be Saaraliisa Ylitalo. And she's going to be talking about her 1-day workshop that's going to be offered on Friday, Kamiito spinning paper. And I hope I said that correctly. If not, take it away, Saaraliisa. Let us know.
No, you said that pretty well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay, let's see. I need to do one thing here, I think. No, never mind. Okay, well, my name is Saaraliisa Ylitalo, as you know. All that weaving, that was really exciting and stimulating. So I'm a little still thinking about that, especially that last one, the parallel threadings. I want to take that class. But I haven't done anything on a loom for years. I started as a dyer, spinner, and weaver eons ago, but with my husband's job, we moved to Japan in 1990, and we lived there for 5 years. And I had already started to make paper, but I was felting and weaving, but I couldn't bring my supplies there, and I couldn't get supplies there, so that was difficult. So I changed gears and started working with a paper maker there, and I did that for the whole time, and really fell in love with that. So, you know, if you ever look at my work, remember that I started as a weaver, and so I've just sort of, it's all very textile oriented. It's not so much paper making oriented. So being textile oriented, I love the idea that I can take this piece of paper and spin it. And with the spinning, you can do with this the same thing that you can do with anything else that you've spun. You can weave with it, crochet, knit, basketry, and we'll be, so like I have samples that I'll show in the class. This is a weaving for all those lovely weavers this is a little weaving from its paper and cotton. Kamiito means paper thread. And so a lot of people think shifu is the word for paper thread, but shifu is actually the textile. Once you make it, then it's called shifu. So this is shifu and this is kamiito. So in the class, we will try to do a little bit of weaving at the end, depending on how much you have spun in the class. The materials for the class, there's a little material list. But the most important thing that you're going to need to get, other than, you know, an X-Acto knife, a ruler, pencil, some stuff like that, is a drop spindle. And drop spindles come in all different weights. So I have put on the directions that it should be around 2.7. So this is a plug for Louis, has a 2.5, and then the other one, I just forgot who the other one was from. The Woolery has several, the company, the Woolery, and this is 2.5. If you do anything over that, a lot of spindles are higher than that, it'll just rip the paper. So it'll be too hard to spin. So a drop spindle is all you need. You can be a beginner. You don't need to know how to spin, because you'll learn how to spin in this class. We prepare the paper in the beginning. That takes a bit of time. And then the second, that's after lunch or after the break. And then we'll start spinning after the break. And then we'll do a bit of weaving. If you want to do crochet or knitting, that's fine too. Questions, I think. I have lots of stuff I can show, but that's silly. I'll just do that in the class.
Yes. So is there anything specific you do want people to bring with them?
Well, yes. I mean, there is a material list, and it's a drop spindle, X-Acto knife, Olfa, your green, what do we call it? It's not only Olfa, but it has a funny name, like it keeps the memory. No, does anybody know? Can you help me? Anyway, an OFA, so you can do cutting on it. Spray bottle for water, and it doesn't have to be very big. This is a tiny one. This is for hairdressers, but you can get it like for plants, anything, but don't bring a big one. Really don't bring a big one. I bring the paper for a metal ruler, and I think a metal ruler is important because they usually have a little part on the back that keeps it from slipping all over the place. It also has centimeters as well as inches, and you want many. It's not that you need one over the other, but if you have both, a centimeter is smaller than a half an inch. So therefore it gives you choices, more choices. Scissors, pencil, work clothes. That's a funny one. I say wear jeans. Part of that is because during the beginning, we're gonna do some spinning on our jeans, on our thigh. So don't wear a skirt. That won't work. Well, I've never tried it. It might work.
Yes.
So yeah, but really the spindle is the important thing. And so when I get a class list in January, as you said, I'll write everybody and tell them certainly where they can get the right weight, because I don't want you to come and have something that's so heavy. I will bring extras, but you want to be able to use what you buy. So, and I will bring the paper. The reason for that is that if I tell you to go out there and buy mulberry paper, which is a long fiber paper, that's better for spinning than, let's say, if you use newspaper, really short, it'll break. So I'll bring the paper, but you'll go home knowing how to choose the papers that you want to spin, which is anything. You can spin any paper, but we're going to make it easy for everybody to go home with lots. So.
Okay, great. So the $25 materials fee, that will include the paper that you'll be providing.
Yeah, this paper is not inexpensive. So that's why. Pretty much everybody's bringing everything else they need, and I'm bringing the paper. Okay, and as students, it's a beginner class, and what kind of experience do they have? Kind of experience you recommend they have? None. It's not. I would call it an all level one, because if you're a wool spinner, you'll have a little bit of an advantage, but a long draw and a short, probably long draw and short draw sort of don't apply because it's paper. It's already something that you're then changing into spinning. Anybody can take it who's interested in learning how to spin paper. All right, thank you. We do have a couple questions, a couple more. And I'm just I'll ask group them, what kind of paper will we be spinning? So I get there, Gail is kind of asking, will it be like a Japanese paper? And then will the spun paper be weaving suitable, like for clothing? Can it be washed? Oh, that's good. Yes. So I'm just holding up some samples of various thick and thinnesses. If you want to wash it, I will tell you how to prepare it after you've spun it. As you usually wet out your skein and cure it overnight. So there's another way of curing paper, so it will be water resistant. Well, thank you so much, Saaraliisa. Sounds like a great, interesting class, and what a range of sessions we're going to be offering. Kamiitu spinning paper. It's a one-day workshop. Saaraliisa is going to be offering it on Friday, July 12th. Again, these are all available in our registration book with a little bit more information if you're interested. Then also you can go to our website to register for these wonderful sessions and workshops. We want to thank everyone who was able to join us today. Just remember, you can register now for the sessions, events, workshops if you've donated to the Fiber Trust. And you can still donate to Fiber Trust to get priority registration. But just note on this Monday,
Registration will open for everyone at 12 noon. That's 12 p.m. Eastern time. Please take note, we will continue to spotlight Convergence sessions at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So keep an eye out. They've been really informative. And if you have any questions, please don't feel free to contact us. And we want to thank you all for joining us today. And we'll see everyone on Monday. Have a great weekend. Thank you.